When people cross the threshold of life, through near-death experiences, hypnosis regressions, or mystical encounters, many report the same astonishing truth. On the other side, they are embraced by an overwhelming love. Not a love that can be fully explained in words, but a love that seems to be the very foundation of existence itself. Today we're going to explore what kind of love this is. How do people describe it? What does it feel like, and why does it so often transform those who return? Imagine standing at the edge of life and suddenly being enveloped in something so powerful, so radiant, that every fear dissolves. Many near-death experiencers say it feels like coming home. One woman recalled, "I felt the most perfect level of love imaginable, as if every cell of my being was adored." Another described it simply, "There was nothing that was not love." This love is not like human love, bound up in conditions or circumstances. It is vast, unconditional, and often described as brighter, fuller, and deeper than anything we can imagine while alive. Researchers like PMH Atwater, who has studied near-death experiences for decades, often say that the love reported is so intense that if we felt it fully while alive, our bodies might not even be able to contain it. One experiencer said, "It's like combining all the love you've ever known in your life from every person, every moment, and even that would still fall short." People often describe it as if they were being bathed in love, as though love itself was a living presence surrounding them. One of the most striking things about this love is the absolute acceptance that comes with it. Imagine every mistake you've ever made, every moment of doubt, shame, or regret, melted away in an instant by a love that sees you completely, yet holds no judgment. Some experiencers compare it to being embraced by a parent, a friend, or even the universe itself, except magnified 1,000 times over. It is healing. It is peaceful. And it often changes a person's entire perspective on life when they return. This same kind of love also appears in another fascinating practice, between lives regression therapy. Under hypnosis, some people describe moving into a spiritual state where they reconnect with their soul family or spiritual guides. One person recalled meeting a guide whose presence radiated immense warmth and unconditional love that bound every soul and every atom of the universe. Others describe entering vast libraries of souls or groups of beings who greet them with recognition and joy. In these moments, people often feel not only loved but deeply connected, as if they belong to something eternal. Even on platforms like Reddit, people share experiences that echo this same reality. One person described it like being pushed through an entire ocean of dense love, like being given a surprise birthday party by everyone you admire in existence, except amped up beyond words. Another wrote, "It felt like every reason for inadequacy was washed away, like pure love directed straight into my mind." These are raw, personal stories, and yet they sound almost identical to the research and clinical reports. Psychologists and mystics sometimes call this state the oceanic feeling. It's a sense of boundlessness, unity, and oneness with the entire universe. People describe it as being dissolved into something greater, where the boundaries of the self no longer exist. It's not just being loved, it's becoming part of love itself. Science has attempted to understand these experiences. Some point to neurological phenomena, like ecstatic seizures, rare forms of epilepsy that can induce intense bliss, and even mystical sensations. But even those who experience them often insist it doesn't explain the depth or intelligence behind the love they felt. Researchers who study near-death experiences have found remarkable consistencies across cultures, languages, and beliefs. Even children too young to have been influenced by religious stories report the same overwhelming encounter with unconditional love. Perhaps the most compelling evidence isn't in the experience itself, but in what happens afterward. People who return from these journeys often lose their fear of death entirely. They live with more compassion, more kindness, and often dedicate themselves to service. They say the love wasn't just a feeling, it was the truth about reality. And once you've touched it, you can never forget. So what kind of love do people feel on the other side? From thousands of reports across near-death experiences, regression sessions, and mystical encounters, a clear picture emerges. It is unconditional. It requires nothing in return. It is all-encompassing. Not limited to one person, but embracing all of existence. It is transformative. It heals wounds, erases fear, and rewrites a person's sense of meaning. It is telepathic and direct, communicated soul to soul, beyond words. And it feels like home, as if this love is where we came from and where we return. If there's one message that comes back again and again from people who have touched the other side, it's this: we are loved far more deeply than we can imagine, not because of what we do or who we become, but simply because we exist. That love isn't reserved for some distant afterlife. It is the very fabric of reality here and now, waiting for us to notice it. Maybe the greatest lesson these stories give us is not only that love is what awaits us beyond death, but that love is also what sustains us in life. So the question is, can we live as though that love is already here? But this kind of love that we are talking about here is a love so strong that in our human biological form would not comprehend it. However, we are entirely made from love. We are essentially love in our purest form. Never forget that, so share as much love as possible to help everyone to remember their truest form. That is all for this video. Please consider subscribing as it helps this channel grow. See you in the next video.